Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 5 of Vitamins presented by St. Luke's. I'm Fabian Krislovic and as always I'm joined by Adam Webster. Webby, how we doing?
Very well, Fab. Back from a couple of games in Launceston, so you've had your North trip for the year.
Always good being up there, nice interacting with the fans, little family day action. It was a beautiful morning before we flew out. It's always a pleasure when we get to go up there and interact with the fans up in the north and how passionate they are and spend some time with them. It's awesome.
The great thing about all Tasmanians is no one takes seeing you guys for granted. Everyone's super passionate every time they go to watch you guys play. So you must feel that no matter whether you go to Ulverston the pre-season, Launceston a couple of times.
Everywhere. You kind of, you do feel it. It's a pretty awesome privilege wherever we go. People just, look at us and especially the kids get super excited. And as you said, no matter where we go, it's always the case. A couple of stuff. Remember the preseason, we were in Latrobe and they were just going nuts and it was awesome.
I love their hoops up there.
They do, that's for sure. Pretty excited. We've got a very special guest here. He's been here from the start and he's helped, build this club, really set the standards for what it means to be a Jack Jumper. So.
Absolutely. And, we talk about St. Luke's wanting to make Tasmania the healthiest island on the planet. Mm-hmm. We can talk to this man about how he, sets the culture of a club, of an organisation, talks about purpose, talks about perspective and all of these things that you need in order to be successful, and that's what St. Luke's are trying to do for Tassie. So I'll let you introduce him. You are his deputy.
Yes,
so
I know. Second is 2IC, so we'll get to him. But for those listening for the first time, just a quick explainer why we're called Vitamins. Every day at the JackJumpers, we do our vitamin session before we get into training, which is something we do to just get a little bit better every day, whether it's extra work, skills work on the court, maybe a bit of extra time with HRC, trying to get the body right, or just some bit of talking and film with the coaches. So it's just something that we can do every day to make ourselves a little bit better. It goes no better man to lead into that than our only captain of the JackJumpers. Only had one. Welcome Clint Steindl on this episode of Vitamins presented by St. Luke's. Clint's a veteran of the NBL, over 300 games, over 12 seasons. Started growing up in Mackay before going down to Brisbane finish his schooling there before going to the LIS, and then went to St. Mary's in Moraga to play some college basketball and had a bunch of success over there. And now here he is. He's after that to spend some time all around, 2-time champion with Perth before coming back here. And Clint played an awesome role in laying the foundations for this club, setting what it means to be a Jack Jumper, and as a playing group from the start, he was the obvious choice to be captain. And then Clint solidified himself, becoming a championship-winning captain last year. Funny thing is, Clint still has to probably battle for the best basketballer in his house. He's got his wife, Kayla, who is an awesome basketballer in her own right, and dad to Noah and Addison. And he's also working towards his master's degree in education here at the University of Tasmania. He does a bit of everything, but Clint, what an intro. Welcome, mate.
Mate, I didn't think you were going to stop.
I'm sure there's
going to be a 10-minute intro. There's so much to talk about.
There is.
No, thank you for having me. I've been hanging out for 5 weeks now to join this.
You've been excited? You've been listening to all the episodes?
Like, when is Fab going to tap me on the shoulder?
Yeah.
Can you come on our show?
Little bits and pieces.
It's the first question I have. Is there any dirt? What's the dirt on Fab? Everyone says he's the nicest guy on the planet. Everyone just, talks about how good he is in the club, in the locker room. Come on.
I got to give him some kudos here because
everyone else does. Hey, can we get something on the guy?
Every song under the sun.
Does he?
If I was going into a karaoke war, I'm taking Fab with me.
Can we get on the big screen you trying to name as many songs as possible based on the first few seconds?
I'm decent at it, and it's pretty good. We go to couple of us go to trivia every week, and there's always a music round.
Okay.
It's kind of my time to
shine.
I nail it pretty well. I don't know how it is. I've just spent a lot of time listening in the radio in the car with Dad driving me everywhere, and the songs just get stuck in there. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we go on road trips and Fab's DJ. He's front left seat.
The second person to say he controls the auxiliary cord.
Mate, and no one has any issues.
Really?
I love it.
Okay. 100% approval rating.
I wouldn't say that. We have our ups and downs always, but I think, I haven't been kicked off in a couple of years, so I'm doing something right.
That's good. What's your least favourite song, Fab? Because that's probably you love so much music. What's your least
favourite song? Well, the funny thing is, because obviously in basketball, it's such a big hip hop culture. Rap. I don't love it. So it's not my go-to genre, but, I've always have to work a bit in and try to keep the people happy. So
we're losing street cred right now as we speak.
I know.
Clint, what about you? What's your favourite music, least favourite?
Over the last few years, it's definitely country. When I first went to college, a lot of my classmates were into country music. I just didn't get it.
And now?
Mate, I love it. It's
really? It's grown on you to that degree.
Yeah. It got to a point where my wife wanted Luke Combs tickets. I think coming in February.
Yeah, very soon.
And so I couldn't go because that's our last regular season game. But I was so juiced up, I helped her get the tickets. I even had to pay for them.
Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
There's enough road trips that where Kayla has to look after the kids that, she deserves a Luke Combs concert. Yeah. Trying to be the voice of reason here.
Country music, good stuff.
Welcome, Clint.
Thank you.
Very excited to have you on the show. Excited to talk about your history, your career, where you've come from, where you're going, but you're a shooter. And I want to start with this. Golf and good shooters. There is a correlation between people that are really good three-point shooters and people that have a very consistent golf swing. And I think it's mechanical. I think it's because you can just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Am I onto something there? Steph Curry being the perfect example of that. He's could be a pro golfer if he wanted.
Yeah, look, when I do miss a three-point shot, I just consider it machine malfunction.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that when I swing a golf club, but there's just too many malfunctions. But I don't know what it is. I find myself, if I miss a shot in basketball, I get frustrated. I stuff up a shot in golf. How can I get frustrated? I play it once every 2 months.
Yeah.
During season.
Yeah.
And when the wife and the weather and the kids and you line it all up and you can get out there. I'd love just getting out there and it's just you, golf club, the ball, getting it down that direction and you got no one else to blame but yourself.
See, I always find something to blame.
Do you play golf, Fub?
I play a little bit. I wouldn't say I'm into it nearly as much as Clint, but when I went over to college, I got into it a little bit, got some clubs and everything, and I'm decent. I'll hit the ball every time. It doesn't always go where I want it to go.
It's a start.
It goes some.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes sometimes, and sometimes I pull out some great shots, and I feel like the man.
Yeah.
But, that's not always the case. Yeah, we still find a way to get frustrated out there, and it's not. I'm like, why am I so bad? I spend all this time on golfing. Oh wait, I don't ever practice. I rock up and play around every so often. So.
Yeah, I always think of the time that a friend of mine put his golf club into a tree as to
I haven't done that.
It could be worse. It could be worse.
That's for sure.
They say beers helps.
That's what
really?
I found.
Okay, drink responsibly.
That's you, Clint. I've never touched this stuff, but that's you, man. You do what you do.
Well, I guess that's a great thing about golf. You can take a few drinks along the way and play 9 holes and, make it a social event as well as an athletic event.
I know. So it's good. A couple of times we've gone out and it's just a good time to get outside and have fun. And we're always, usually a couple of us go out. I remember, I think it was the first year or second year, we had a little team match up in at the country club at Lonnie. And I was just jumping on, hitching my wagon to whoever. I think it was on your team on Jets.
Josh Jet was.
Is he the best golfer in the history of the JackJumpers? Who's the best?
I don't know.
You?
Ruben Tarangi.
Really?
We'll be in the weight room and I'm just looking around and I see Rubes and he's
practicing swing.
He's getting his motions.
Wow, that's commitment.
We'll go upstairs, eat lunch, and he's just standing in the corner. He's I'm like, Rubes, do you stop?
It's what he's always working on.
So.
It's like how whenever you pick up a cricket bat, you kind of have to do that for defence. You have to. It's part and parcel. So he's always got an imaginary golf club in his hands, Ruben, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he loves it. Rubes loves golf.
Any other great golfers in the team? Coaches, officials, sponsors? Anyone really surprised you?
I was going to say Weeksy.
He played a couple rounds with Weeksy. He's quite good.
Yep.
Yet to play around with Magnay.
Okay.
Magnay says he loves it.
Does height make golf easier or harder?
Depends how short the clubs are.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he's going to have to get those clubs fitted.
When you're getting, you'd have your own clubs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You're going to fit it.
You need to fit it. Of course. And every time you get some clubs, you find yourself bending your knees a lot more than you probably should.
Yeah.
Trying to get down. But I wouldn't say it helps. I wouldn't say it's a massive advantage in golf.
But it's something.
It's something. That's it.
We'll straighten up. Clint, you've been a pivotal part of this franchise since the beginning. You're obviously the inaugural captain, championship winning captain. I want to ask you about the start of your career And specifically, we want to go right back to college, where you had the distinction of playing with both Paddy Mills and Matthew Dellavedova at St. Mary's at different points in their sort of careers. Paddy was about to leave in your first year, and then Delly came along. How was that experience?
Yeah, I guess I knew both of them from the Institute of Sport.
Yep.
Paddy ended up going to St. Mary's, and I guess it was my turn to choose where I was going the year after, and I'd visited St. Mary's, University of Colorado, and University of Hawaii. So I did my visits. Yeah, I happened to do my St. Mary's visit on Halloween. And, Halloween college party. I was like, I'm coming to St. Mary's. Playing with two very elite point guards in college, both coming from Australia, was something else. And I mean, we also had Mickey McConnell, a kid from Arizona, who was a very good point guard. And so Randy Bennett recruited high-level, high IQ guys in that position to run the ship for him. And I mean, it's the amount of success that they've had over the years now. Amit Nah playing high-level point guard, playing over there as well, and I think they've just got another one over there.
Make your life easy over there, playing with those guys off the ball.
You just sit in the corner and
they just get you the ball in the right spot.
Defense just packs it in, and they find you, and your job is shoot the ball.
Not too bad.
How easy is it playing with a great point guard?
Yeah, it's massive, and I think everywhere you go, you see the importance coaches place on that position, and essentially, as Clint said, like if you have someone out there who can run the show, it's what a coach really trusts and relies on. And it's massive. It's like having another coach out there, someone with a good feel for the game, feel for the tempo, when to push, when to slow down, when to get guys involved, when to be aggressive themselves and score the ball. And I've also been lucky enough to play with some good point guards, and they make life pretty easy.
It's been a staple of your franchise since the get-go, right? With Josh Majette, Weeksy, Shawnee Mack, Jordan Crawford now. It's clear that Scott and the team and you guys prioritise that, smart player that can get everyone else involved, and it must make your job so much easier.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a pivotal position, that point guard spot, because you look at the point guards through the league, I guess specifically the import point guard, they are high level scorers.
Yeah.
But they've also got to find ways to find their teammates. And I mean, you look at the ones in there now, I mean, just get better and better each year.
Yeah. Kendrick Davis is having a hell of a season. He's been brilliant, in particular. But, you look at the championship series last year, you had Matthew Dellavedova and Shea Illy to contend with, and that's probably the best 1-2 punch in local prospects.
I was going to say, I think if you look across the whole NBL, point guards, you're either having an import or you have a high level local.
You have to.
So, it's probably the most important position in that aspect in terms of getting the team on the right ship, so you're running the same direction.
You started your NBL career in Queensland. You went to Townsville, you went to Cairns, most improved player while you were there as well. What were your initial impressions of the league and getting involved in the NBL?
Yeah, I guess early on it was trying to find your niche within the league, what you do well, and having spent 2 years in Cairns, kind of trying to find where I was going to fit into that team, and then made the move to Townsville under Sean Dennis. Gave me some opportunity that helped me gain confidence in just being a player and making plays out on the floor. Kind of a little bit different to how I play now, but he helped me realize kind of the potential have and the tools I have that I can use to be a high level player. And it was unfortunate that Townsville folded. I was getting ready to re-sign for another couple of years.
Wow.
And spend another two after my initial two. But they folded, and it was kind of, what's next? Yeah, I kind of took that skill set I was able to work on and went to Belgium and really enjoyed my time over there.
How was that? How was, you obviously been to the States, English-speaking country, and then you go across to Belgium. There'd be plenty of English speakers around the traps for you, but a different culture.
Absolutely. And I guess I had offers to stay in the NBL, and I was just thinking opportunity, experience.
Yep.
Go try something. And so, ended up going to Belgium for the season. It was great. Culture shock was minimal. Everyone spoke English to some extent, and teammates were great. The club was really good, actually. We were kind of a lower level club in the league at that time, so they only played domestic. They didn't play in a Euro Cup or a FIBA Cup or something like that. So games were few and far between at times, just one game a week, and sometimes we had stretches of 11, 12 days between games. So that was probably the most difficult part. There was a lot of practice time, but in terms of the experience, I loved it. It was really good.
I want to ask you about free agency as a concept, and both of you, because it's not something, basketball player, not a basketball player, but it's a very unique thing to sports. It's not as if I have 3 offers on the table from 3 different companies for my day-to-day job potentially, or I'm out, trying to search for one in Belgium and one in the US. How do you navigate through that, and how do you prioritize different things throughout free agency and, your opportunities that are ahead of you?
Yeah, well, I'm sure Clint will probably have a bit more insight than me. I've only really gone through it once, and that was before I came down here. I had my time in Cairns I was there for 3 years total, and really enjoyed it there. It got a lot better as a basketball player. Going into that free agency period, the opportunity to come to Tasmania and talking to Scott about what it could be like to help build the club and set the standard, I guess, from the start was that just really interested me as an opportunity. So there's a bunch of factors that go into it. Obviously, you look at from a basketball perspective, what kind of team suits your style, where could you see yourself really thriving as a player. And then there's obviously a bunch of other factors like where do you want to live. I guess similar to what Clint spoke about in terms of going to Belgium, I just thought this would be a really cool experience. Not everyone gets the chance to be a foundation player and set the tone from the start. That was basically what pushed me over the edge, and that's really the only time I've gone through it. And then I've been here since, re-signed my extension a couple of years ago before heading into free agency or talking about other teams or anything like that. So yeah, that's basically all I had to really weigh up and things I thought about.
Yeah, I guess having spent 2 years in Cairns and then ultimately my decision to move on, and then 2 years in Townsville, and that one was out of my hands.
Yep.
Then Belgium, and then a couple of months in Greece, and then I got a call I'd spent the preseason with the Cats, and then got the call. There was a spot when Matty Knight retired, and so I'd spent 2 years, and then it was free agency, and I was like, okay, I've pretty much gone 2 years, 1 year, 2 years, and it's like, at some point, I want to try and solidify a spot in a team for an extended period. And it was the same year South East Melbourne actually came into the league. And so I was quite heavily talking with them. And I just got to a point where I was like, I'm in such a really good position here within a club that's people consider the gold standard within the NBL. And I just didn't want it to be, 2 years and then done.
Yeah.
Let's extend. Let's see where this can take me. And at that point as well, Kayla.
Yeah.
He was playing with the Perth Lynx at that point.
Absolutely.
And so that decision during free agency to stay with Perth was, there was so many back and forth, but I'm so glad that we stayed. I was able to get another championship, but also Kayla and I got married during that period. We had our son Noah over there. I went back to uni and started my master's, and there's a lot that came from that 2 years outside of basketball that I hold dearly because it's kind of shaped where our family is right now. So,
and it's interesting that you talk about the decision is not an on-court decision anymore at that point. It's a family decision. It's an on-court decision. There are so many factors that go into that, and clearly you made the right one in going to Perth, and then you had another big one to make where potentially you didn't necessarily have to prioritise Kayla's playing at that point in time because you had a young family. She's obviously back playing for the Hobart Chargers and balling out, might I add. Yeah. She did very, very well this season. But how was that process in going with Scott Roth, who you were familiar with, obviously, and how did you come to that decision?
Yeah, that was another stressful one because having spent the 4 years in Perth, I had established myself within the team, within my role, the club. Kayla had established, her playing role within the Lynx, and then having our son. And it was quite stressful. And actually, one of the mistakes I had when I was going through that initial free agency, whether it was to move on from Perth after 2 years, was I was playing SBL at the time with Perry Lakes Hawks, and we had the day I made the decision to stay, I had a game. And we were playing, I think it was Rockingham. I thought it was an away game. I was so stressed out. I thought it was an away. I drove to Rockingham.
Whoa.
I call up
not a short drive.
Our assistant coach, and because he was helping me through the process. He was a mentor of mine.
Yeah.
I was like, we play at Rockingham, right? And he goes, No, we're at Bendat, mate. Lucky I left like so early because I made it back just in time to get into layup line.
Wow.
So Rockingham's like an hour.
That's not a short drive at all.
Yeah, so that was
goodness.
my head was just all over the place.
Yeah.
But moving into this decision, it was the same kind of thing. Like we have it so good out there. And then there's this opportunity to be a foundation player and help a club and leave your imprint on a club from day one. And it was just like kind of how my Belgium experience decisions came around. It was opportunity and the experience to do it. And so Kayla and I guess Noah went into that.
Nice.
And kind of the rest is history, and we've absolutely loved our time down here, and we've been able to build a network outside of basketball, which we love, and so that's kind of how we come about the decision. Yeah.
Amazing. And you speak of Noah. One of my favourite things about Jackie's social media, shout out to the social media team, is the Noah content. Yep. He's a member of the team, right? He's a member of the roster.
Noah was probably the first one who was always hanging around on off days and coming into training, because I think that first year didn't have a ton of kids or kids of older kids, and it was always Noah. We'd come in on a Wednesday and I'd see Clint shooting, and Noah would be on the baseline throwing a basketball to someone who was kind of ready to get going, or someone like playing with a foam noodle. And I feel like he kind of set the tone there. And I talk about setting the culture, and now so everyone feels really welcome. I feel like it did start with Noah. He was always the one who was super excited, and it was just a bunch of fun when you get to see him.
Yeah, no, he's ever since I kind of introduced him to being around the guys. He loves it. He loves it. He talks about them, and like my favorite part, he'd run it. Fab just mentioned the foam noodles that the coaches use. He'd run into the shed and he'd pick out two. And I remember one day he ran over to Jack McVeigh, threw him a noodle, and just stood there. And he just
Jack would be up for that too.
Absolutely. Jack was great. He got into it for like 5 minutes before his shooting started, and him and Noah just whacking each other. Foam noodles. But he'd even go hang out on the sideline with RC and help fill up ice bags, and
amazing.
The guys embraced him, and it was so cool to see. And now he comes in and he'll go up to Scott and go, "You got any red frogs for me?" Because everyone gives him red frogs. And but the cool thing now is you're seeing all these other kids come in. Of other guys. Like Weeksy's son Freddie, he'd come in every now and then. You see him sitting in the corner when we're practicing, and Milt would bring Mace in, and now you see him on the court afterwards. And it's just the environment that Scott's created, where when we're practicing, family wants to come in and sit on the sidelines, have a watch, let them be a part of what's happening. And it's just, I mean, we didn't start out with too many kids back then, but there's a lot of them.
It's a lot now.
It's a lot around now, and it's awesome to see.
It's amazing. Mace being a star of post-game press conferences with Milton as well.
So cool.
That one was. You guys must get a kick out of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so awesome to see. Yeah, we know that the kids and the family are just such a massive part of everyone's lives. And so it's really cool to see them get some of the spotlight and interact with them all the time, and they get a bit more comfortable and around the team as time goes on. The more time they spend, so it's really cool to see them grow in that aspect.
And education is another thing, Fab. We got a UTAS student with us today.
Yeah, Clint. Well, it's funny. I always see Clint because we're in the van together. When we have some long drives, either we're going off to Lonnie, or sometimes from Sydney to Wollongong, we're in the car for a bit over an hour. I'm in the front, and after about 20 minutes or so, I always see Clint just pull out his laptop and start working away. I'm like, what are you working on now, Clint? He's like, some assignment. I'm just getting ready for the upcoming semester. I'm not doing anything at the moment. And I'm just like, that sounds fun. I'll go back to swiping away and picking the next song. But no, it's pretty awesome to see the work outside of basketball. What kind of pushed that? When did that start to get going? And when were you like, this is something I want to pursue and just to have?
Yeah, that one. It got started in Perth. My wife was teaching at the time. She got a degree in the US at Gonzaga, and her teaching degree transferred out to Australia. And I was kind of seeing what she was doing in terms of relief teaching when she had time outside of basketball before we had kids. And it's something that it interests me. And yeah, I was sitting down with a mentor, and I was going through I think Fab may have heard this before. I was going through a rough patch basketball-wise, performance-wise. I mean, you're talking about shooters. I was shooting. I wasn't thinking. I think it would have been the season. I think I shot about 27% from three. It wasn't good. And I was trying to find some success, and as hard as you worked and as many hours you put in, our team was successful, which was great. Personally, I just couldn't find my fit, couldn't find my shot. And so my mentor at the time was like, we need to find something outside of basketball with a sense of being successful. And so I was like, all right, do you want to go back and study? And I said, absolutely not. I finished that in the US, and that's where I stayed.
Yep.
Took some talking to, and I was like, all right, let's give it a go. And so I did my first unit over there in Western Australia, and I got a pass mark, and I was like, wow.
I can do this.
I felt a little bit of success.
Yeah.
Like knocking out 3 assessments, getting a pass mark for a unit, and be like, all right, I got 17 to go. But it was just that little bit of success. It took my mind away from basketball, outside of the championships, getting married and Noah being born. Going back to uni was probably one of the best things I did, because it helped me in so many ways. And now I'm at a point where I'm about to finish it with UTAS. 1 unit left next semester, start of next semester, into 1 more prac, and I should have my master's in teaching.
And you're trying to juggle captain of a basketball team, professional sporting organisation, and father of 2 with a master's degree, and you're obviously able to do it. So, testament to the UTAS program, and obviously your time management must be very, very good.
Absolutely. UTAS have been great, but like Fab had mentioned, I'd pull out the computer on the road. I live for road because I was trying to knock out assignments, and I had a close call one time. I had my old MacBook, and I was typing away, and I thought it was charging. My son Noah actually had pulled the cord out of the charging on the wall, and I'm trying like he killed the charger. And
great.
I was trying to finish an assignment, and my computer starts flashing like 5%, and I'm like 15 minutes from submitting this assignment. I was stressed. I had to send it to Kayla's computer, and I was like, she doesn't have Microsoft Office on there, and I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
So there's some stressful times, but live for the road trips in terms of trying to knock that stuff out.
Done. Yeah.
That was kind of my downtime or free time to be able to do it. So a bit of time management there, and definitely a bit of discipline along the way to try and get it done. Some days weren't as disciplined, but we're here and we're almost there.
You're getting there. Shall we do the starting 5?
Yes, we'll get into it. Clint, we'll try to learn a little bit more about you and your past and your basketball journey as a whole. We've talked a little bit about, I guess, some of your earlier memories as a, younger player growing up. What about going back a little bit longer, growing up in Mackay? Any great memories from your childhood stand out?
Yeah, a lot of it is in the backyard with my family, playing games of horse, games of 21 or elimination with Dad and my sister, and Mum would be out there at times, and the hoop would sit just above a roller door to the shed, and the amount of times the ball hit that roller door and it makes this crashing sound, and it's in my head forever. But that's my earliest memories. But I remember actually my mum and dad telling me when I played under 6s, I would have been 5 at the time, I'd go out on the court on a Saturday afternoon, and I'd just start crying because I didn't want to be there.
Wow.
And I don't know if it was I didn't want to be there, or everything was just overwhelming with the kids running around, and the whistle and the ball, and do this, do that. And I just stood on the court and like, I don't want to. I just started crying. I eventually got over that, and
got better from there, didn't it?
Yeah. And I guess you get a little bit older, and you find a love for it. You really enjoy it, and you hang out for the Friday night. You get to play your club game. And back then, or how I say back then, played outdoors, and obviously when it rained, you couldn't play. And so we had a storm come through, I remember, and it stopped. So we got the brooms and the squeegee things, and we're pushing the water off this court because we just wanted to play and end up cancelling it. So threw the broom on the ground. But it was a rarity you got to play indoors.
Yeah.
When I was a junior. So, yeah, there are a couple of memories. Yeah,
that's funny now at Mackay. I haven't been there in a couple of years, but you walk in and there's the big Clint Steindl life-size
Is
poster.
there?
Yeah.
Wow, he's revered.
Legend up there.
sitting up next to Mariana Tolo, Olympian, Sandy Brondell, Olympian coach,
Some pretty good
WNBA
company.
champion coach. Those two, the hometown heroes sitting up there. So
Yeah. And we talked, I guess, about the AIS and that experience and college and that experience. Do you remember a point when basketball gets kind of clicked and it was like, oh, I can make a life out of this. This can be my career for the foreseeable future?
yeah, going through high school, playing basketball, doing athletics, coming to the end of year 12, I was like, what's next? I was preparing to go to schoolies. I was trying to organise that, and I ended up getting a call from Marty Clark, Tasmania, Northwest Tassie, who's a head coach at the ISN, and he asked me if I wanted to go on a tour to Italy. And
Fair offer.
I was like, when is it? He said the dates, and I was like, oh, that's schoolies. And I'm like, I'm going to Italy.
Yeah.
So
Very fair.
schoolies, went out the door, toured to Italy, and then got offered a scholarship to the AIS. And once I kind of found out that process, how it all worked and what comes after that, it was like guys go to the NBL, guys go to college. And it was kind of through those couple of years being in Canberra, it was like, maybe I do have a shot at becoming a professional basketballer. And then 4 years at college, and then another light bulb moment was like, what's after college? If you're good enough, you get an agent. And so I got an agent, and then it was like, okay, there's something there to go play. Yeah, next thing you know, I was in Cairns, and once I got to Cairns, I was, okay, we're on a team now.
This is happening.
And now you're just waiting to actually play. And I'm like, now I'm a professional basketballer. And so that's kind of how it all worked, yeah.
That's funny. Clint's telling me that story, and that was very similar to my experience.
Really?
I was the same thing, except I managed to get off to schoolies after year 12. I had
The
a good
important
result,
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
But in terms of, I was similar. I finished high school, and I was thinking about what I was going to study at uni. I was applied to unis back home in Sydney, and then I wasn't playing for a bit, and an opportunity kind of popped up, I think like a month or two before I went over to college, University of Montana. I decided to give that a go. And then the 4 years there, I was like, what's next? I was kind of ready, thinking like, what job can I do? And then a couple of people reached out, and then I ended up in Cairns as well after 4 years. And when I was there, I was like, oh, no, I think there's something here. I'm getting paid to play basketball, and let's give this a crack. And it's funny, you're saying, I'm like, this is very similar to what I was going through. I think it was a couple of years before.
Yeah, I think a lot of athletes, it's like, what's next? And I'm like, if I don't make it, you're putting things in place to go work a 9 to 5 or whatever it is. Someone's always watching. And all it is someone makes a phone call, and everything, your career path can change like that. And I feel like it's happened a couple of times with me, actually. And when you're given these opportunities, you jump at them.
And you mentioned Marty Clark. When we talk about great Tasmanian basketball people, Marty's got to be right up there on the list. He's been with the AIS and COE and now Global Academy for going on 20, 25 years. Like he's
absolutely. And
so shout out to Marty Clark, great Tasmanian.
Yeah, no, Marty was great for my basketball development, along with Paul Gorris and also Ben Rausch, Northern Tassie guy.
Yep.
Just spending the 2 years there developing under them. And I actually remember the day Marty got into me, and I'd signed with St. Mary's, and we're playing in the Siebel competition, and I wasn't performing to what Marty expected of me. Pulled me aside and he goes, I'm calling Randy Bennett now. I'm telling him you're not coming. I was like, oh God.
Wow. Yep.
That'd be an intimidating thing to hear when you're 18.
Yeah, I would have been 17 or 18 at the time. And
did you need to hear that, do you think? Or is it like, was it a light bulb moment for you, or was it just more of a resetting?
Not then and there.
Yep.
Then and there, it was probably like, is this guy serious?
Yeah.
But when you reflect on that stuff, he's not going to come to you and say that just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Like, he's
trying to get it out of you.
A numerous amount of guys go through the same situation where they're trying to, I guess, get to, and that was his way of having an impact. And when I reflect on it, it's like, I'm glad it happened, because maybe I was going into something thinking, I'm all right.
I got
signed.
this.
I'm there because I can do things really well right now, as opposed to trying to take another step and another step. So, that one's always stuck in my mind. Yeah,
I think you've pretty much answered the where and the who.
I was going to say, we're talking about where obviously basketball is. We're pretty lucky in terms of the places we get to go. And you've talked about some of the places, a little spontaneous trip to Italy, a little 4 years at college was awesome. And then obviously everywhere you've been around Australia. Are there any other places you've been to or some other highlights you've had in your career? The places that really stand out?
Hobart Chargers?
That really stand out?
I'd say one of the really good experiences was World Uni Games. It must have been 2013, 2014. Andre Lamanis was the head coach. We ended up winning silver in Russia. So we did it was like a 3-week trip. We did played in a competition in China, and we ended up winning that. And I think I've got a photo with myself, Cody Ellis, maybe Mitch Norton, someone else. We're holding one of these big checks and it had like $30,000 on it or something like that. And so,
you guys saw that money, yeah?
I think we got a little bit. I think most of it went to Basketball Australia, but just enough beer money.
That's what you're worried about.
And so we went from there onto Russia, and ended up losing to Russia in Kazan. But we had lost to Canada in the pool games. We beat the US. I think we beat Serbia in the semi-finals to go on to play Russia. And that was a really cool experience, just that 3 weeks with that group. So, yeah, like you say, I've been fortunate enough to go all around the world. But, that was a really good experience with that team.
And you spoke about some of the coaches you've had that have shaped your career. Marty Clark, Ben Roush, among others you've mentioned. Anyone else, I guess, who's played a big impact on the career of Clint Steindl?
I'd definitely say Randy Bennett, being there for 4 years.
Of course.
Professionally, Sean Dennis had a big impact on me, and he gave me the opportunity to be out on the court a lot more than I was in my first 2 years in Cairns. And also had one of those days at practice where SD got after me. I just wasn't being aggressive enough offensively, and that's what he brought me in to do. And he got after me pretty tough. He was hard on me, and he ended up calling me after practice later that afternoon, just check on me how I was doing. And I'm like, no, I get why you're giving me this feedback, and in a way that I need to respond to.
Yeah. So
it's funny how you always remember those tough moments when either teammates or coaches get after you, and you're going to grow from those areas. And so, definitely Sean Dennis in the early years. In the later years, I'd definitely say Jacob Chance and Adam Ford from our time in Perth. And then I think obviously now with Scott, just the way he leads has had a massive impact on me off the court, interacting with community, with my teammates. And I'd say the big one with Scott is leading through vulnerability.
Yep.
And I guess that's kind of a big thing these days, and you listen to a lot of podcasts about it, but until you're in our environment and you see how that works, it's very powerful. So, there are a few coaches that have kind of shaped how I've moved forward.
It's pretty. I've already, seen a little glimpse of that, with your relationship with Scott, and it's been, you've talked about his impact and leading through vulnerability, but then the way you're able to take that on and lead in a different way. And we always kind of, as a group, we joke around that Clint is Scott's son. That's has been since day one. He's brought him in, and why did Matt Kenyon leave? He had that role. No, it was always you, mate. Kenny had a different role, but so that relationship's been, really cool to see, and how you've, both grown from that. It's awesome to, be a part of and see that, and how you've taken things and attach that to your leadership style, and how you've taken that and led us as a group for the past 4 years. Finally, Clint, you've spoken about your family, stuff you're doing outside of the court. What is your why? What gets you going through on hard days when things are tough, and what makes those good days worth it?
Actually, we explored this, must have been 2 years ago. Yeah. And it hasn't changed for me. And I'm actually glad I explored it, because you're not going to say, why am I playing basketball? I love it. I do it for the money. And go deeper. And the thing for me was parents. They had given me an opportunity to succeed, taking me to different sporting events where I was involved. I mean, I couldn't imagine the number of hours of them driving me to practice, games, all that. And if I could repay them by buying them a house, paying off them, that kind of thing, cool. But the biggest thing I found a way to repay them is just give the career that I've had everything that I was able to, because they instilled some values in me throughout childhood, and the only way I could repay that at that point in time was to just give it everything I had during practice, games, preparing, discipline through high school, working on time management skills way back when I was in boarding school. And so, a massive part of my why is my parents. And then recently is Kayla, because she has sacrificed a lot of her professional career, especially us moving down to Tasmania. She sacrificed her career to start a family when we're back in Perth. And so that's the next part of my why is I'm giving it everything I've got because she's unable to due to family and us moving. My why is my parents and my wife and now my kids, because they get to be involved and they get to come along for a little bit of the ride.
That's profound from your parents' perspective. I want to pick up on something you said there because I think there's something in it for parents and young parents. You said you played a whole bunch of sports as a kid. I think some people tend to get fixated on, one sport and trying to drive their child through, the ranks of one sport. How important is it for both of you to have exposure to different types of athletic pursuits and different opportunities as a kid to sort of find your favourite one and be able to pursue that? How important is it for a parent to expose you to different types of activities?
Yeah, I guess if you look at it from a performance point of view, it's like playing this sport helps you in this area of basketball, as does this sport helps you in another area of basketball. But back then I was doing it because I was having fun.
Loved it. Yeah.
Your parents loved seeing that, just as I love seeing Noah go to basketball, about to start cricket, doing little athletics. And I guess that's another way of me saying thank you to my mum and dad, paying it forward to my kids and giving them those opportunities. But I guess in terms of just exposure to sports, you're around different kids, you're building different relationships. At that point, I don't think mum and dad were like, let's get him into cricket because it's going to help his eye hand coordination. Basketball. Let's make him play soccer so he can figure out how to run and kick a ball and maybe transfer something. They weren't thinking like that. It was, I was having fun. They wanted me to be active and be around kids and develop relationships.
Yeah. It's exposure to different activities that you can enjoy, and then, later in life, maybe you pick up on one or two that you really, really like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I had a similar experience. Basketball for me was kind of something that I just got involved in randomly because it was something else. Because I always grew up, soccer was everything in my family. I started playing when I was in my brother's team when I was 2 or 3 years old. And then I think...
So young to play soccer.
I think he's under fives, and I was joining in when I was 3. Joining in, kicking, because Dad was the coach, so I was there anyway. So I just started running around. But and then, did swimming as well. And basketball kind of just came up. Someone asked me when I was in school to give it a go, and my parents just they encouraged me to just try as many things as possible. Played a whole bunch of sports. My brother played rugby. My sister played tennis. My other sister netball. So they just, anything we wanted to do is just super supportive. And as Clint said, it was all just about moving, being energetic, being outside and interacting with other kids and having a great time doing it. And as you said, as you get older, maybe start specialising, and that's kind of decision I made. I think I played soccer all the way up until I was 16, and then basketball was just becoming too serious, too much, and so that's just when I really started focusing on it. So it was an awesome part of growing up, trying new things, seeing what you love, what you don't love, and it's super important.
It is. That was the starting five.
Yeah.
Well, Clint, we want to talk to you about a lot of themes that we pick up on as part of St. Luke's trying to make Tasmania's the healthiest island on the planet. Culture is such a big part of this team, and I think it's something that now the rest of the NBL and many other sporting leagues and teams look at with a degree of envy. In terms of the culture that's been able to be built in such a short time. It's almost unprecedented in some ways. What are the key drivers for you in terms of the high-performing culture that you've been able to build, that the both of you have been able to build as leaders of this team over the last 4 seasons?
I truly believe it's you creating an environment where guys trust each other, but you're able to allow guys to shine in their roles. Everyone's going to have different roles within the team, but if you can provide support to allow guys to be the best version of themselves, not necessarily basketball, just as a human, then you're going to start to create an environment where guys are going to be comfortable. There's a sense of value. There's a sense of being wanted within the group. I mean, human nature is you want to be wanted wherever you go, like work, social groups, the gym. You want to be involved in different aspects of life. And if you're creating an environment where you can trust people, you feel valued, and you're able to shine, then you're able to move on from there and then get into the basketball stuff. But get that environment right, then you kind of set your baseline to move forward.
Yeah, I think Clint nailed it. And I always think back to that first year. I think I remember we were 2-6, I think, at one point. And I just remember, like in other teams I've been in college and where other places I've been, it's kind of, I was shocked that there wasn't a sense of panic at all, and we kind of just stuck with what we knew we were doing, and we allowed people to come in and be excited to come in and train and go to work. And we're not finger pointing, we're all taking accountability, but we're all trying to push each other to be better. And then things kind of really turned around from there. And it's a very easy thing, I think, to say and to talk about.
Yep.
And but when you're in those positions, it's very hard to trust what you're doing and not try to just panic and try to search for short-term solutions that maybe fix things in the short term, but long-term aren't sustainable. And I think this is something that we've always had. We've had that ability to come in every day and, as Clint said, allow everyone to shine in what they do and be comfortable pushing themselves and being uncomfortable, even when everything else is still going against us. So I think that's been a massive part of setting the culture. And as I said, it's an easy thing to talk about.
Yeah.
But when it's a hard thing to implement, and I just think we've done a great job so far.
We're kind of going through that patch right now, and the big thing Scott keeps talking about, just keep embracing each other. Not much is going to change in terms of personnel-wise within this group. This is our group. Hold on to each other, embrace each other, because at the end of the day, this is what you're going to have that's going to get you through the storm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Fab was spot on with what I was just talking about.
Observation from a fan as to what I see and how you guys demonstrate this from the outside looking in. And I know I'm the voice of the fan on this show largely. So Roy Williams, championship winning coach with North Carolina, talks about the way to get a team on board is through role definition, role acceptance, and then role enthusiasm. You guys have one of the best role enthusiasms that I've seen in professional sport. There's always positivity, no matter whether it's the players coming off onto the bench for a rest, the players coming on, the players that aren't playing. Everyone is up, supportive, providing that positive environment, which you don't always see. I mean, you might get role definition, role acceptance, but it's the enthusiasm bit that sets you guys apart. Where does that come from? Is it in the personality of the people that you allow into your team? We've seen the Sydney Swans have a no idiots policy. I won't use the word that Paul Roos used back in the day, but like, is it is it infectious when you get into the club that you have no choice but to kind of be a part of that enthusiasm?
Our roles are clearly defined.
Yeah.
Clearly defined. At times, are you going to accept those roles? Sometimes you may not, because you think, I can be so much better, or I need to be in this area as opposed to what I'm doing now. But the thing within our group is you're assigned that role because you're elite at it, and this is what's going to help us.
Yep.
And Scott often talks about, I don't need you to be great. I just need you to be solid or good.
Yeah, and on the back of that, I think it's, I guess, become infectious, but I think that's based on, we spoke about it before when Mags was on, we really celebrate everyone performing their roles, and maybe it's not all the time and it doesn't get talked about in the media and everything like that, but when we have our film sessions or we're talking, we're always quick to celebrate the people who are performing their role, whether it's just something the other day, like one of our young players not playing, but Clint, I think, brought it up that the energy on the bench was just great in like a team meeting, and we kind of always we acknowledge that, and we make it a celebration so people do get excited to perform their role at the best of their ability.
Clint, you mentioned the adversity that the group has gone through. The first year, Fav mentioned the 2-6, 2-7 start that you had. You've had periods of adversity this season as well. Perspectives has to be something that's really important for you, particularly as a leader, to try and help everyone else understand where they are and that things are getting better, and it's, you've got to ride the wave. How do you sort of find that perspective, and how do you then impress that upon your team and the people working with you every day?
Yeah, I guess you can kind of come across perspective in many different forms, and one of the ones that we found lately is through vulnerability, because a lot of the hard times that guys kind of share with each other or share in front of the group and kind of put themselves out there just puts life into perspective, no matter how good basketball is or how bad it is. Just hearing each other's stories and things they've gone through just to get to this point, you're gaining an understanding of their thought process, how they feel on different days, and I mean, that in itself provides a whole heap of perspective within the group environment. But for me personally, I mean, wife and kids, there's perspective.
Yeah.
Because they can turn the worst days or the worst performances, get home into this, life's great.
Yep.
Can go the other way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
We can have a really good win and come home. There's a food fight going.
Yeah.
Oh, here comes life. Yeah, within the group environment, definitely through vulnerability and hearing stories of what guys have gone through, and that gives you perspective of what's really important in life, and then your own experiences through what you've gone through. But yeah, right now for me is kids, because they're I don't care if you win or you lose.
Yeah,
they want to be around mum and dad. And they want to have fun, and that kind of, at times it's very hard to switch off from the basketball scene. I mean, coming home from practice, I've got a 3-minute drive, and I've got 3 minutes to snap back into dad mode and kid mode, and it can be difficult at times to switch off, but they certainly, once you're around them, it certainly helps.
Yeah, always a interesting one where you have a great personal achievement and for your wife, and they say 2 tantrums waiting for you when you get home. It's going to be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Shall we fill Fab?
Yeah, I was going to say, Clint, it's been awesome hearing from you. But before we let you go, just a little quick fire. Feeling Fab.
Quick fire.
Finish the interview off.
Yeah.
Hey, ready to start. What is your coffee order?
Latte.
What is golf handicap?
15.
Oh, not bad. Your first car?
It would have been at college. Chevy Cobalt. Little four-door sedan. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. Not
much college.
Not much get up in it, but got me from A to B.
Favorite place to play in the NBL? Away venue?
Perth.
Funniest thing your kids have said or done?
Can I swear?
Go on. We can always beep it.
Yeah, so this one's actually in context too.
Okay.
A couple of years ago when we first got into Tassie, and dropped a couple F-bombs, and Noah understood them. We got out of the car and we head to the sliding doors at the front, and he tried to open up the door. He turns around and goes, "It's locked." You might have to beat that one.
Yeah, I'll have to beep that out.
Favorite Jackie's jersey?
The one we just wore.
Yeah, it was
Retro round, Launceston
Love
City
a retro
Casino,
jersey. You guys have nailed it. 2 in a row.
red shorts,
Yeah.
funky.
yellow
Yeah,
singlet.
It's good. 80s.
Yeah.
We just needed the warm-ups to go with it.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have seen Clint. We had a little because we had a photo shoot beforehand, and then last time we were up Lonnie, and we had a little sneak peek of Clint had the full kit on.
Nice.
We had the
Yeah.
button. Was it the zip up warmer?
Zip up.
You didn't get the short shorts on though, did you?
No, not with these. Like
Did you think
And
about
the
shaving this and just having moustaches for like the game
Spoken
and
about.
trying to
Yeah, it has been spoken about.
be a full retro from head to toe?
We'll see. You guys will have seen by now if that's what I decided to do. So hopefully you're watching that game. Clint, how you spend an off day?
I go to the fridge and I check the long list of chores that Kayla leaves me. I usually get a workout in the morning, and then most days the kids are home, so whatever they're up to. Occasional swimming lesson I get involved in, which is good when they line up. So yeah.
Nice.
Favorite app on your phone?
Well, right now probably podcast app. Yeah.
Well, speaking of, what are you reading, watching, or listening to at the moment?
Oh, actually, the podcast I'm listening to right now, one by Hamish Blake, How Other Dads Dad.
Yeah.
And yeah, I kind of enjoyed hearing the perspectives of guys like Eddie Betts. Reading, I Can Teach You How to Be Rich, or I Will Teach You How to Be Rich. Watching, Outer Banks.
Outer Banks. Oh, Outer Banks guy. Finally, Clint, what is one thing that you like to do to stay healthy?
Easy one, workout.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Get a lot of it right now.
Yeah.
But,
It's your job. Kind of.
It is. It
Yeah.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's eating healthy because my wife and Noah just keep making chocolate brownies and cookies.
Hey, I can't say no to those.
Exactly.
Like,
That's why I work. That's why I work out.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. Thank you so much, Clint, for joining us. Been awesome chatting with you, talking about culture and perspective as well as your life and career. It's been awesome. Been a pleasure.
No, thank you for having me. Yeah, we've gone quite a while.
No, it's
I have. It's been a lengthy episode, but
need to-
we've had plenty of good stuff to
I
say,
need to check
Clint.
my parking meter.
No, it's all good, mate. Well, I think the parking ends and we're safe after that. Well, thanks again, Clint, for joining us and talking all things culture and perspective as well as your life and career. It's been awesome. Been a treat.
No, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
And make sure you follow the Jack Jumpers across social media. Stay up to date with everything that's happening in NBL.25. And a huge thanks once again to our friends at St. Luke's. And thanks for joining us. Stay tuned and wait for the next episode.